Hello and welcome. Name's Derek, and I sell physical media on eBay. And I've made a bunch of videos about that stuff. This is another one of those videos. What's sold? There we go, that gets that blood going. Aha! Finally got her. Monkey! Hi, monkey. See, that's how we know it's monkey. See, she's got all that white. And she's little. She's the smallest. And then, stop the music. What's up, video? Yeah, I can feel my wings are moving. Coming to a video soon. Haircut. Starring Derek. Actually, I mean, there's a couple good ones in here. We'll start off with that, but there are quite a few books, so I got to take this, get the book, so I can save a little time. Okay. Back to business. So this Green Treasure hardcover, $16. So I've had this one. There was no date stamp in the picture. Right, so I've had it for a while. I usually don't deal in bigger books like this, let alone $16 ones. After all the years, it was probably listed originally at like $30. But it's well over 4 years old. It's gone. This one, not so old. Maybe got this in summer. And it's a good one. This is The Queen of Peace Visits Mudgori. Darn glare. $45. I don't remember where I got that one either. C24. Zydeco Dynamite. Now, I don't think I've had this one too long. Yeah. So next library. Zydeco Dynamite. $18. I don't remember how long I've had that one or where I got it. Some things are like that. I mean, if you're a reseller, you know that there's some things you got 4 years ago and you remember exactly where it was, what you paid, what you were talking to about to that person, and other stuff you could have got 3 days ago just listed, just sold. You'd be like, I don't know where I got that. Sublime. That's what I got. Loving it. What I got. Remember when. Remember when. Hold on. That's remember when we were young and we shone like the sun. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Sublime. What I got. Remember that loving. Actually, I had a Dalmatian. Well, my brother had a Dalmatian. His name was Joey. But Sublime. $12. Yeah, so we had a Dalmatian. Another kind of like collie shepherd, something smaller. It was a mutt. And her name was Holmes, and we got Holmes first because actually the dog, my brother used to work at a grocery store. We're talking back in the 90s, or even the 80s for that matter. Yeah, it would have been late 80s. And he worked at a local grocery store. as like a whatever. He just worked in there, and he was out in the back of the plaza, and someone comes driving by and just dumps off a dog, and he was out there, and he goes up, starts walking up to the dog, and says, "What's up, Holmes?" Holmes got her name, and then not too many years later, we end up with a bloodhound. And if anyone can guess what that bloodhound's name was, off of what I just said, $5 coupon off my store. How about that? I'm going to be giving away a lot of $5. The first 5 who get that right, $5. All right. Cool story. Where are we at here? CBS C34. Same thing, but backwards. Petula Clark. That's not it. This is Gene Clark. Petula Clark. Something around downtown. Gene Clark. Right there. Gene Clark. $24. So this is just one of those oddball examples of the picture, the image that's used for this is likely a replication or even a close emulation of the original. And when you see this older stuff like that, obviously a CD is not from 1972. CDs weren't made until the early 80s. So yeah, I kind of like, if I see that, I'm piecing together that this is a pressing of an album, and more likely it's going to be an earlier CD. Do I even have a year? I do, 1990. So apparently this person, this art, and this is where my brain goes with this on how I'm just kind of sifting these, going through these rows and stacks, and not really columns, but rows, sometimes stacks of CDs, and I'm just hand sifting. And if I see that instantly, to me, this definitely looks like something that's from the 60s, 70s. I doubt early 80s. It might, but the thought is still there. It's much older. The artist, and being that there's probably every single person seeing this video right now, they're like, oh yeah, I know Gene Clark. Derek, why don't you know Gene Clark? I don't know, right? To me, it's not a big mainstream artist. So the rights owner, whomever, it would be the distributor, not the distributor, the studio, and whoever else. We're like, you know what? We've got enough money in this. We know that there is enough to be able to make presses of CDs and put them out there, and we can make money on them. So, wasn't really a big hit on vinyl or 8-track. However, it was big enough of a hit, big enough of a money generation to be like, you know what? Let's get another 500,000 out of this title and stuff. Let's put it on CD. That's in 1 second. I'm like, yep. Because it's just an old replication of something, of someone I don't know. That's of older. And if I haven't seen it over my 5 years of sifting through CDs 3, 4, 5 times a week, and there's other CD sellers that will know a whole lot more, but my principal thinking is, I don't know it. It's definitely older. I'm like, yep. Same thing with the older look on the spines and so on and so forth. So I'm not looking at this one saying, oh, it's an old spine. I'm looking at the picture saying, that looks like someone from the 60s and 70s, more 70s, just by looking. And to me, I'm not familiar with it, and it's on CD. Well, it didn't, most likely, they didn't start just by the quality of that picture, the quality, that hairdo, the hairstyle. I mean, how many artists from the 70s had this exact face, look, and structure? Well, I mean, I can't do it with this, but everyone. You can go to the Rolling Stones, the Who, uh, Beatles were more joyous, and there's all kinds of artists that you can look at. They all have that same face. And most album covers now, it shows everything but their face, and most of the time, people are barely dressed. Sexualization, exploiting desires. One person not really being worth the other. One gender, one sex not being really worth the other. Is this woman's point. In gender gap. So gender gap, signed 1984. This one, I strongly believe I got this at the Salvation Army in downtown Cleveland. And it would have been $1. Should I see if I can see when I got it. There's a February 1st, 2025. So I had it for a year. So if I really want to absolutely make sure, damn it, if I want to make sure, I could just go to early February, late January of last year and listen to the video or look at old receipts or something, but most likely $1 and 48 bucks. C24, Bonnie Ray. Okay, so this is one right here. I believe this is the one. So someone ordered it, messaged me. So I wake up to the message saying, hey, I didn't change my eBay address. And could you change it to whichever? Could you change it and ship it to this address? Well, I know enough to look at their account. Their account is like 5 years old, and I'm the only feedback. It's not that much of a red flag, but old expired accounts from eBay, people can buy them. That's not where I'm going with this, but they have one feedback, and it's from me. And so I wrote them, did you put in a forwarding change of address? If you did, then it'll get there. So that one is not going to get packaged until they reply. It's preventative headache. And if anything, if they just never reply in a couple days, I can send it out. It's 28 bucks for it. But do I want to deal with it? That's right here, actually. Yeah. Do I want to deal with that issue? Or I could just relist it, and I did write that too. I was like, I'll relist it after, you could buy it after you change your address. But this will sell. I mean, this is 2 weeks old, maybe. Oh, well, if I don't have that $28 sale, I'm never going to sell it again. No, this is probably my 4th or 5th one of this I've sold. That person's problem is not my problem. My only problem would be it's going to take a little longer. But if they do reply, I'd be like, yes, I did. Like, fine. I'm not going to, and I can't change your address. I'll just slide it in an envelope and it gets sent to you. If you never get it, it was sent to the address you had on file. Guess whose side eBay is going to take? Thanks for telling me, but I did my part and asked. C47. Joji. Another one. Just got. So the last one's put away. Oh, speaking of putting stuff away, I get some neighbor before I really lose my train of thought. It's Joji. 19. So if you're new here, and I know there's a handful, about 10 of you, most likely all 10 of you from Reclaimed, I forget his name, Tony, Brian, something. Thanks for coming over. This is what I do is physical media. I do sell a few other but physical media is 90% plus. We'll go 94.67% plus. I don't know that. I like arbitrary numbers. They mean absolutely nothing. Put this down here. So I have this stuff right here in these cassettes, stack of books that need to be put away, a stack of disc media that I am going to go live. So pretty much a little bit after this, in maybe a few hours, I'll be going live. All right, future me here now. The live, I'm just going to do that Sunday when I usually don't do videos. I'll go live on Sunday, resurfacing and putting whatever inventory of stuff that I have listed that needs to be put away. And best guess, it'll probably start 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern, PM Eastern. The resurfacing is maybe an hour, and putting stuff away is maybe an hour. So if I don't want to be too wrapped up any later than 8 Eastern, if I start 5 would be better. We'll do that. If you, my viewers who would have an interest in being there, have a preferred time, it doesn't matter to me. You can pick whatever feasible time. You'd be like, hey, could you start at 7? I wouldn't mind showing up. Could you start at 7? I could start at 7. And I will be resurfacing. It's probably about 25 discs, but a bunch of them are 3 and 4 sets. So my resurface stack, which is usually gets like this, is now like this because of all those multi-size cases. There's like 8 cases like the size of this as opposed to a single CD. But what I'm thinking of doing is waiting more for like a weekend or something to just go live of me just putting inventory away. I enjoy the few bits of conversation that does happen. And if nobody comes in to that video, that live, and the chat doesn't get much of any activity in it, there's no dialogue. That way, anybody who'd want to listen to it later, there'd be a dialogue. If not, then I'm just going to stand right here and just put stuff away. So if nobody comes in, that live just gets deleted, right? I just recorded myself putting stuff away. If there's people there, that video will stay, right? And third watch, complete first season. And I think this person sent me a message too for this item, and they're like, write fragile on the package. Tens of thousands of physical media, especially over pretty much 5 years. And this is the first person to ask me to write fragile on a $13 DVD order for something that's sealed with a zip code of 48. D5. However, for me to write fragile twice takes up 16 seconds. There's that, and there's something else. That's going to wrap that one up. Like what you heard, like what you saw, like what you learned. I mean, nothing really spectacular out of them. This a book I had forever. Here we go. So is what I do when I do sell similars. I will go to listed always first. I also use timestamps in my pictures. So I always know the date when I got the picture is most likely that day or the next day when the item was listed. So I know exactly, roughly when I got it, or let alone exactly how long it's been listed. So I'll do this, and I'll look at the view counter. If the view counter has 3 or 4, especially if it has 4 or more, it gets taken down. If it has 3, I will click on it. And if it has 4, 5, 6, 10, whichever, because that's telling me that's 3 views in 30 days. And if I'm looking at things that are 3 months and older, the items that have 4, 5, 6, whichever views that are 3 months or older will come down. They get enough views over a month, at least one a week, give or take, or over 30-day rolling would be usually 3, 4, 5 views throughout that 30 days, just rolling over at the... That's enough for me to be like, there's enough people clicking on it that it's getting that attention to where I want everything to sell, but that's the stuff that I'm like, well, if I reprice it, next person who looks at it, there we go. And yes, I could be, well, the next person who looked at that one, yeah, but the prices of these things are coming down by 20 cents, 80 cents, depending on where all they fall. Well, not quite 20 cents, but they're coming down by a buck or $2 or $5, but it's usually going to be 2, 3, depending on where they're at, but 2, 3, 4% less than what it was before. The stuff that doesn't get those views, that is a whole other different explanation that's kind of way too much for me right now for the like what you learned part. Let me think of going up. Comment down below. Subscribe, share. Those are all free. They help me so we can help other we. Appreciate it. Thank you.